and the latest episode of the Light podcast, a spin-off of her popular Netflix docuseries and memoir tour. Former First Lady Michelle Obama sits down with actress and mental health advocate Taraji P. Henson for one of her most personal conversations yet. Titled, "You Need to Learn to Say No, Even to an Inauguration," the April 2025 episode delivers a raw, richly layered, and at times searing discussion on race, stereotypes, emotional suppression, and the burden of being a Black woman in the public eye. This isn't just an episode. It's a masterclass in emotional honesty, political clarity, and cultural reckoning. You can watch the full episode here. Yes, I am angrier than my white friends. Early in the podcast, Michelle Obama dissects the infamous angry Black woman trope that has followed her since the 2008 presidential campaign. The first label they put on us as Black women is that we are angry, she tells Henson. And the irony is, yeah, I am probably less light than many of my white female friends. That sharp, unfiltered truth cracked the podcast wide open. Obama isn't apologizing for her anger. She's contextualizing it, demystifying it, and most importantly, demanding that it be respected as righteous rather than weaponized. It's a way to keep us in our place, she says of the stereotype, explaining that the trope is deeply rooted in America's legacy of racism and misogyny. The insinuation is that Black women must be restrained, agreeable, and deferential, or else risk being dismissed, punished, or vilified. This, Michelle explains, is an emotional straitjacket, especially for women in high visibility roles. Michelle Obama knows what it means to have her humanity constantly called into question. During her husband's first presidential run in 2008, right-wing media outlets labeled her militant, emasculating, and ungrateful after she remarked on finally being proud of her country. That clip was cherry-picked, replayed, and recontextualized for political ammunition. Since then, the angry Black woman label has become a lazy but robust descriptor used to silence her voice. "It was just me being truthful," she recalls, "and it became this whole thing. That's when I knew, oh, they're afraid of our truth." Michelle Obama has spoken about this before, notably in her memoir Becoming and in interviews with Oprah Winfrey and Gayle King. But on this podcast, sitting with another Black woman who knows the price of celebrity visibility, Obama's insights carry a new weight. She's not just recounting history. She's reflecting on the psychological toll of being reduced to a caricature. We haven't been given permission to articulate pain. Michelle makes a profound point that is often overlooked in mainstream feminism. Black women, historically, have not been given the space to express emotional pain safely. We don't articulate our pain because we haven't been permitted to, she tells Henson. We've been taught that we have to hold it, carry it, absorb it, and keep it moving. Henson, who founded the Boris Lawrence Henson Foundation to destigmatize mental health care in Black communities, immediately validated this experience. She echoed that Black women are often socialized to suppress discomfort, whether physical, emotional, or psychological, to be strong for everyone else. The episode subtly weaves this insight into a broader cultural critique. The societal demand that Black women remain invulnerable is not just unhealthy, it's lethal. On Skipping Trump's Inauguration, a masterclass in boundary setting. One of the most revealing moments of the podcast comes when Michelle discusses her decision to skip Donald Trump's 2017 inauguration, a choice that ignited headlines and speculation at the time. But for her, it was simple. It started with not having anything to wear, she jokes. But underneath the humor is a clear boundary. I told my team not to pull a dress. If there's no dress, there's no pressure to show up. This was no mere fashion statement. It was a radical act of reclaiming personal agency. Obama made it clear that she no longer felt obligated to perform grace or political civility for individuals who trafficked in racism and birther conspiracies. "I had given 8 years of everything," she says, "and I was tired." Taraji's applause, "You were a shock absorber for the country." Taraji P. Henson didn't mince words when praising Michelle's emotional endurance. "You were a shock absorber," she said, "for your husband, your children, and frankly for the country." It's not the first time someone has noted the burden Michelle Obama carried as the first Black First Lady, but coming from a peer, another Black woman who knows what it means to be both visible and invisible at the same time. The comment was especially poignant. Michelle humbly replied, "That's not fair to any one woman, but I did it for my girls. I did it for the next generation." Say no like a diva, advice for the next generation. Michelle Obama wants young Black girls to start saying no with confidence and without guilt. "I want my daughters to learn early. No is a full sentence," she says. She encourages the next generation to assert themselves unapologetically, to guard their peace fiercely, and to stop trying to make everyone comfortable at the expense of their well-being. Her call to action: stop over-accommodating, say no with a smile if you have to, say no like a diva if you want to, but say it. This is the Michelle we've been waiting for. In this episode, Michelle Obama didn't just talk about being a former First Lady. She spoke of being a Black woman, navigating a world that constantly demands perfection, while giving her none of the grace she routinely extends to others. Her conversation with Taraji P. Henson was radical, not because it was loud, but because it was real, unfiltered, emotional, unapologetically Black. It wasn't just an interview, it was a reclamation.
Person, I'm not going. Okay? Don't tell him I'm sick. I'm not sick. Michelle Obama wasn't sick. She just didn't want to go. She didn't want to be there. She stood on business. She didn't want to be there. I think we should all take a note out of Michelle Obama's book and stand on business. I don't care if I'm attending an inauguration or a funeral. If I don't like that person, I'm not going. Okay? Don't tell him I'm sick. I'm not sick. I don't want to be around y'all. Okay? My new motto in life is if it don't bring me peace, I don't want no parts of it. Okay? And stand on business the next time someone plays with you or talks about you or something that you don't agree with. If you don't agree with it, if you don't believe in it, don't go. Don't go.
What Michelle Obama said. Let's see why she said she didn't show up at the inauguration. Okay, here we go. She about to say some juicy people.
What people don't realize, or my decision to make choices at the beginning of this year that suited me were met with such ridicule and criticism. Like, people couldn't believe that I was saying no for any other reason, that they had to assume that my marriage was falling apart. Right. It's like, while I'm here,
I'm gonna stop this shit right here. So basically, the video is her saying that she didn't show up because of Trump. You decided not to show up and respect the victory. Respect the win. Stand next to your husband. Fulfill that obligation because you didn't get down with Trump. That's what you're telling us right now? I don't believe that shit at all. And even if it was true, it looks even worse. Because that means that you put yourself first. You put your feelings first. Before your family. Before your husband. All in all, I'm not trying to hear shit you got to say, girl. Bye, Felicia.
Eggs are made fall, let the whole world see. Black kings rising high in our own destiny. Moving through the storm, proud and bold we stand. Shining like gold, love's in command.
Miss Andre tried to put him down with a Miss Andre vibe, but Jermaine flipped the script, now watch him thrive. In a classroom of doubters, his spirit never fell. Every harsh word turned to beats that made him rebel. They came the neighborhood, drop dropping wisdom like a rhyme. Challenge that old Miss Andrew said, not on my time. With his wife Mia, Swahili for strength and grace by his side. They set the record straight with humor and pride. In the dating game and gender wars where opinions clash and play, Jermaine and his crew keep it smooth, dancing hate away from awkward first dates to the battle of the hearts. They flip the script with funky vibes and soulful art. Talk, let them squabble, we're too fly to be confined. Every snide remark just fuels the fire of our mind. With laughter as our armor and pride, our battle cry, black men rise above it all, reaching up into the sky.
Fall, let the whole world see. Black kings rising high in our own destiny. Moving through the storm, proud and bold we stand. Shining like gold, love's in command.
Miss Andre tried to put him down with her Miss Andre vibe, but Jermaine flipped the script, now watch him thrive. In a classroom of doubts, his spirit never fell. Every harsh word turned to beats that made him rebel. Then came the neighborhood bump, dropping wisdom like a rhyme. Challenged that old Miss Andre said, not on my time. With his wife Mia, Swahili for strength and grace by his side. They set the record straight with humor and pride. Game and gender wars where opinions clash and play. Jermaine and his crew keep it smooth, dancing hate away from awkward first dates to the battle of the hearts. They flip the script with funky vibes and soulful art. Talk, let them squabble, we're too fly to be confined. Every snide remark just fuels the fire of our mind. With laughter as our armor and pride, our battle cry, black men rise above it all, reaching up to the sky.
Fall, let the whole world see. Black kings rising high in our own destiny. Moving through the storm, proud and bold we stand. Shining like gold, love's in command.
Let them talk, let them squabble, we're too fly to be confined. Every snide remark just fuels the fire of our mind. With laughter as our armor and pride, our battle cry, black men rise above it all, reaching up to the sky.
Rain fall, let the whole world see.
Everybody, hey, happy Monday. Happy Monday. If you are here, like, share, subscribe. Y'all know the drill. What's going on? What did I see? Hakeem, it's so good to see you on a live. It's been a minute. I've had a chance to catch you on a live. So I'm so glad to see you. Everybody else who is sliding through, thank you for joining this last minute live. I was originally going to talk about my follow-up with the ex-feminist. I was originally going to do that today. I might do that tomorrow because the video I posted over the weekend, I got a lot of feedback from you guys, wanted to hear some more of my thoughts about just this whole conversation about Michelle Obama and her recently coming out and explaining why she didn't go to the inauguration and ultimately what that means, because we can't act like she's just an average woman, just like another random Black woman with braids on a podcast. Like she's not. She is not. So everything that she does has implications, whether or not she wants that responsibility or not, whether or not she feels that she should, she does. So that's what I want to address today. So if you guys, again, you're here, like, share, subscribe, show some support on the Cash App, Venmo, Super Chat if you like what is going on. So we're going to go right briefly into it. There's a few things that I wanted to cover off, and specifically I want to address why I think Michelle Obama, what she is doing, what she has done, and what she is saying is a reflection of the different issues Black women are having, Black American women specifically are having with relationships, and why so many of them remain single. And I think these last few days have been a perfect snapshot into the ideology, into the different ideas, into the different beliefs that ultimately lead women to being single. That's really what it comes down to. And I think there's quite a few different reasons why, but the primary reason I think many Black American women today remain single, not by choice, but because they feel like they have no option, it goes down to programming. It goes down to programming, the things that we have been told now for decades. It's recycled. It's being recycled every decade, right? Every few years, it's being recycled. It's being passed on from generation now. It's programming. That is why Black American women struggle to find long-lasting love, to find marriage. It's not because, they're ugly. It's not because of colorism, featureism, texturism. That's not really a thing. I mean, unless you have Black women who want to marry into other races, then that becomes an issue. But as far as like marrying within the Black community, no, it's not that as much as we make it out to be. It's not because Black men are not interested in marrying, because Black men, although there's less Black men in America, Black men are still more married than Black women, believe it or not. So it's none of those things. A lot of it goes down to programming. It goes down to the messages that we have received about marriage, about family, about relationship. And these last few podcasts, or at least some of the snippets I've heard from Michelle Obama recently, I think perfectly encapsulate the ideas, the programming, the beliefs that women have been told now for decades that are leading to the breakdown of the family, or ultimately leading to women choosing to be single, even if they're not aware that that's what they're doing. But that's what I want to get a little bit more into. But before I do so, let me bring up, for those of you guys are asking, I know one of you guys are asking my PayPal. It is Shay Sade. You can find me on Cash App, Venmo, PayPal. Shay Sade. That's where I'm at. Also super chats. Thank you so much for your support. Okay, so a few things that I want to touch upon. So I shared the video that I basically posted over the weekend. It was a recap of an article that I want to say it was Essence or BET, one of those, right? But it was basically a recap of a media source, of a Black media source, who was talking about giving their perspective on Michelle Obama and her reason as to why she did not go into the inauguration. So I started off the video sharing that so you guys could get it as just a sense of the narrative, the common narrative around it, particularly as it pertains to Black women. And then I went and I showed some different responses we're seeing right now. What are Black women saying about Michelle Obama not going to the inauguration, how that is resonating with them, and what are Black men saying, right? And so I played that again. And for those of you guys who are hopping on now, I'm just going to show you guys again 2 examples of what Black men are saying versus Black women. Now, to be clear, I'm not saying that this is a representation of everything, because there are Black men out here who are still very much in support of her individual decisions, whatever. Like, we understand there are Black women who don't welcome Michelle Obama. So we're all across the board. But right now, I'm just trying to give you guys a general sense of the dialogue that I see going around between Black men and Black women with respect to the different decisions that Michelle Obama specifically has made and the public decisions she has made. So I'm going to replay that again real quick. Again, these are just snapshots, and then I'm going to move on. Okay, so here I'm going to play a Black woman for you real quick as she talks about her perspective on why she basically agrees.
Michelle Obama wasn't sick. She just didn't want to go.
Oops, let me do this real quick. Okay.
Michelle Obama wasn't sick. She just didn't want to go. She didn't want to be there. She stood on business. She didn't want to be there. I think we should all take a note out of Michelle Obama's book and stand on business. I don't care if I'm attending an inauguration or a funeral. If I don't like that person, I'm not going. Okay? Don't tell them I'm sick. I'm not sick. I don't want to be around y'all. Okay? My new motto in life is, if it don't bring me peace, I don't want no parts of it. Okay? And stand on business the next time someone plays with you or talks about you or something that you don't agree with. If you don't agree with it, if you don't believe in it, don't go. Don't go.
Okay, so I just wanted to share that with you. Now let me go briefly into the comment section of this woman in her take on Michelle Obama. So I see over 31,000 likes, over 800 comments. This one right here, it says, "I don't want to be around y'all, make it a sound." This one right here, Michelle Obama is a queen. The other one right here, 2025, Michelle Obama attitude is what I'm giving. Another one, "I cannot blame Michelle at all. Boss Michelle Obama. Great job, Michelle Obama. Michelle Obama protecting her energy, LOL. To all that don't agree with what Michelle did, funny, you hypocrites said nothing when the orange buffoon didn't go to Biden, so y'all can kiss." Right? So basically, you got Black women in here who are ultimately giving her support. like this woman is protecting her energy. This woman is protecting her peace. She is making a statement, and they are very much for it. Right. And you keep on going, you're going to see that sentiment over and over and over again. That part, heart emoji, no fake or phony, heart emoji, heart, I love it, et cetera, et cetera. So I think a lot of Black women are taking this as like a silent revolution of like, we are saying no, we are not bowing down to the establishment. We are going to do the things that protect our peace. That's ultimately what these ladies, many of these ladies, are saying that they agree with, right? Okay, so I wanted to show that with you guys real quick. Now, let me turn your attention to the Black male perspective. And again, I'm using generalities. Of course, there are Black women who do not agree with what I just showed you, and there are going to be Black men who don't agree with the Black men I'm just going to show you right now. But to give y'all just a general perception of what's going on, in a general, I guess, dialogue or what I'm seeing, I wanted to pray the back to back. So here's another content creator I saw who gave his take that I think many of you guys can resonate with.
See what Michelle Obama said.
Oh,
let's see why she said she didn't show up at the inauguration. Okay, here we go. She about to say something juicy, people.
You know what people don't realize, from my decision to make choices at the beginning of this year that suited me were met with such ridicule and criticism. Like, people couldn't believe that I was saying no for any other reason, that they had to assume that my marriage was falling apart.
Right.
You know, it's like, while I'm here,
I'm gonna stop this shit right here.
own.
So basically, the video is her saying that she didn't show up because of Trump. You decided not to show up and respect the victory. Respect the win. Stand next to your husband. Fulfill that obligation because you didn't get down with Trump. That's what you're telling us right now? I don't believe that shit at all. And even if it was true, it looks even worse. Because that means that you put yourself first. You put your feelings first. Before your family. Before your husband. All in all, I'm not trying to hear shit you got to say, girl. Bye, Felicia.
Okay, so now let's look briefly into the comments of this particular content creator. Let me bring it up because let's see what now Black men are saying in response to this silent revolution is what she called it. Okay, so here, let me bring this up real quickly. Some of the comments here I see, the first one I see is she's trying to make it about her. This one, now this is a Black woman, it looks like it's her choice. I don't see why it's such a big deal. Some poor Mike. This one said, good, she didn't go. She ain't nobody but president's wife. This one says, okay, Mike. Now, some of them, I know there's this narrative out there right now that, and this has been going on, I think, since she was in the presidency, that she's a man and not a woman. Honestly, I think that's all just cap. Just because you don't like somebody don't mean that you got to necessarily question their agenda, but that's neither here nor there. This one, that's Big Mike. This one says, Mike, it's all about, this is a woman clapping back. You got some women in here who are not necessarily. Oh, wait, no, I think no, never mind. Take that back. They are, this is a woman, a white woman looks like, who was insulting Michelle Obama, calling her Mike. Y'all are cold.
Oh, we doing chicken tenders, pork.
Oh, let's see what Michelle Obama said.
Sorry about that. This one says, can she be any more annoying? She has nothing to offer. She is this one, just fire emoji, laughing, thumbs up, laughing. So some of y'all, so laughing. Okay, so people in there, some of them are basically making pot shots at her gender. That to me is not the point. But ultimately, we're seeing a different perspective. People are just like, no, this is not about her protecting her peace. This very much seems like a person who was doing things selfishly. Now, here's why I wanted to address this. There's a couple of things. Now, the first thing that, you'll hear is, okay, well, Trump did it too. First of all, Trump did that, but we didn't see Melania go and attending the inauguration when he wasn't there, right? Like it would be one thing if Michelle Obama and Barack Obama decided as a team that they were making a silent statement. If that was the case, this would be a completely different conversation. If they collectively decided to do that. That wasn't the case. Trump didn't go. We know he's doing his own thing and he's creating his own rules. He's not living by the system, but we don't actively see his wife going against him. They're moving together as a unit, or she's at least staying out of the way. Here, it wasn't like that. The husband did one thing, she did one thing. Now, why is that important though? Why is what Michelle Obama does so important? Because you're going to have people out here, and I've heard this actually among a lot of Black women. It's just like, who cares? She's protecting her individual peace. What does it matter? She's a citizen of the United States. Everybody has a right to protect their individual peace. Granted, Michelle Obama is a global leader. She is a global leader. She is not just another random Black woman with braids, or even a Black woman that has a good degree or good job. Like, she's not that. She was a global leader, married to literally one of the most powerful, if not the most powerful man in that particular time when he was in presidency. A global leader. So you can't have that privilege and have that responsibility and then one day decide you just don't want to do it anymore. Like, it doesn't work like that. To whom much is given, much is required. And so there is no reality in which you are literally married to the most powerful man in the world, and then now your decisions and what you do and how you act doesn't have implications to all of society. And my primary issue already is like, now she's standing up and wanting to move individualistically as if her actions don't impact the nation, if not the world, or if they don't have implications. And that's just not how it works. You can't have your cake and eat it too. You can't want to be in the limelight and be literally among like the powers. You're talking about the elite, the people who run society, the people in the inner circle. But then now one day decide now you want to sit and hang out with Sister Girl and have podcasts with your braids and talk about love and hip hop and try to like it doesn't work like that. You're a global leader. And here's the thing about it. I don't think Black women don't understand politics, clearly. Because over here they're looking at this like, oh yes, queen, yes, do you, boo, do you. I'm like, she is a global leader. The equivalent of this is like if the Queen of England went up on the podcast and was talking about, the king, I didn't really like him that much. I didn't really believe that he was going to be a good king, but I just kind of went along with it. And then she just started breaking and just stopped doing things and was putting all her business on blast and talking about how sometimes the king got on her nerves. Like, could y'all imagine if, what's her name? Queen Elizabeth? Was that her name? Y'all, I'll be forgetting names. But can y'all imagine a world in which the Queen of England got up there, was walking around, having podcasts with other commoners talking about, man, it's hard. Life is hard as a queen. It's real hard as a queen. My emotions, sometimes people just don't get it. I'm trying to teach my daughters, how you don't have to live up to the responsibilities of queendom. You can do you, boo. Like, can y'all imagine? Because I'm trying to paint a picture of the equivalent. The equivalent of what Michelle Obama would be doing, or similar equivalent, would be if the Queen of England is sitting up there, podcast, in some Pilates pants or whatever, right, and some sweats, talking to actresses, talking about, man, it's everybody in my family gets on my nerves. My husband got on my nerves. He wasn't really that good of a king. Okay. I felt like I was forced to follow him, but now I'm saying no. Like, do y'all know how weird that would look? Do y'all know how crazy that would look? Because that's the equivalent. You don't see that. You never see that. And see, and here's the thing about it too. Elite people who grew up in wealth and people who grew up in that class know that there are certain, maybe unspoken rules that are associated with that. Again, to whom much is given, much is required. If you are a global leader, or if you are looked at as a global leader, you have no need to try to appeal to the commoner. You don't abide by the same set of rules. And so the problem, again, I have with this is we got literally the wife of a global leader, in some ways a global leader herself, sitting down here acting like she's a commoner, trying to relate to, quite frankly, the lowest common denominator. And when I say the lowest common denominator, I'm talking about the ideas. Pushing this whole individual mindset, do you, boo? And I'm like, girl, that whole mindset went out the door as soon as you became first lady. You will always hold that honor. That should be an honor. You will always hold that. But why now all of a sudden you have, I mean, you're talking, not only were you married to the most powerful man in the world, arguably, you got the money, you got the wealth, you met the Queen of England, you've met all kind of dignitaries. She doesn't have an average life. She does not have an average life, and she has not for quite some time. So why all of a sudden now are you trying to, why the need to appeal? And then secondly, why are you pushing a message that actually doesn't work? So that's the biggest issue that I'm seeing right now, is like, you're over here pushing this individualistic mindset as a leader. As a leader, you're not supposed to be thinking individualistically. Like, oh, okay, I'm just gonna do me. All of a sudden, I happen to do me, and then you got an actress up there like, oh yeah, girl, it must be hard being you. It's like, yeah, that comes with being a freaking multimillionaire married to one of the most powerful men. Yeah, there's gonna be issues associated with that. There is. I'm sorry. You have the wealth, you have the fame, you have the access. There's also going to be some downsides. But like, I mean, like what? Like that doesn't strike you guys as strange? And so Black women looking at this as, okay, they're looking at this as this is just a individual Black woman who now should have the freedom to live her life the way any other Black woman does. And I'm like, the reality is, world doesn't work like that. Even if she wants to position herself as that, the whole world is watching her. I saw I think Times of India doing a post about her podcast. You're gonna have people in the UK doing stuff about her podcast. People all around the world are watching her. So acting like her actions don't have global implications today is really, really irresponsible. And honestly, I think she knows that. It's just, I think ladies aren't always fully aware. Secondly, a big difference they're going to see between the way Black men were thinking, or the way Black men were looking at this versus Black women. She's talking about her individuality. She's talking about, I'm tired. She's talking about, I don't want to basically support something. I want to protect my peace, protect my energy. Black women, oh, they love that. Black women, they love that. They're all about protecting their energy, their peace, everything. We saw Black women being like, wait, don't you have a duty? Aren't you married to this man? Even if y'all don't agree, y'all still had an obligation to show up and to basically be players as global leaders and to be respectful and honorable, right? So I'm seeing Black men talk about, like, where's your sense of duty? And I see Black men talk about individual peace here. And so here's another thing that I want to say about why Black women are not married, why they remain single. They don't understand marriage. They don't understand it. They don't understand union. They don't understand covenant. They don't understand the responsibilities that come with marriage. They think marriage is, I'm going to do my thing over here. You're going to do your thing way over there. We may come together, maybe every day, every other day, go on vacation, have sex. You can buy me a nice bag or whatever. And then when we're done, I'm going to do me. I'm going to do me over here. You're going to do you over there. And I'm going to protect my peace. I'm like, that's not marriage. That is not marriage. There is no, okay, now I am building my life with someone on my own terms while still trying to maintain every ounce of freedom I had while I was single. Like, it doesn't work like that. When two people come together and build a life together, it no longer becomes about their individual want or need. It becomes about the family. It becomes about the husband and the wife. What are they building? Their legacy. So when she stood up and said, you know what? Basically, I'm choosing me, I'm protecting my peace, while her husband, the most powerful man in the world, arguably, or at least at one point, sat up there, went to the inauguration by himself. When you saw him walking down, and he was like, the expression on his face, like, what are you supposed to do? Smile? You're supposed to look serious? Like, you saw him literally go to the inauguration by himself while his wife said, I'm not joining you in this. Again, that had global implications. That has implications. And what are her reasons? Oh, I'm protecting my peace. What are the implications? I'm choosing myself over my family, over my husband, over the union. Those are the implications, because she's not just an average woman. If she was just an average woman, who cares? The wife and the husband, whatever, they do their thing, they have the union. They're not average people. They're not average people. Whether we like them or not, whether you agree with their politics or not, they literally represent. They're a representation of the Black family in America. And honestly, you had a lot of Black folks when they were running, they voted for them just because of how they looked, because of the representation, not even necessarily because they liked them, but what they represented, right? You have the Black man, the Black woman who are married, who have, kids. They seem like they were, churchgoers at some point, or they ascribed so. They tried to have family values. And so a lot of Black people, they brought into that idea. But now more and more, we're seeing more of this promotion, which to me seems like it seems like it is a devolution away from like family values. It is, you're married, but now you're acting single, and you're not in like, you're public about it though. Like you've already told the world, you've shown the world that you're not willing to back your husband. You guys are not willing to move in unison when it comes to these really, really important things. You've shown the world that. Now you're going online talking about protecting your individual peace as a married woman. She's speaking as if she is a single woman. And again, this would not be a problem if she wasn't literally a global leader, but she is. She is. Okay, real quick, I want to check some of the super chats. Shout out to the 18th letter. Good to see you in the building. Appreciate you with the $4.99. Shout out to you with the 2. It says Barack did not like Kamala. The Obama was upright. Politics. We know politics is full of fake people and protocol. It is what it is. But I'm like, they signed up for the lifestyle, both of them. They signed up for that. Nobody gets into politics because they want to be authentic and real. Like that's not, we already know that there's a show that they're all playing. But my point is, it's not even necessarily that she didn't go to the inauguration. It's because she did that because she didn't move in unison with her husband. And the implications of that to me are a reflection of what we see going on today in the Black American family. There's a reason 1 out of 4 Black women in America are married. There's a reason for that. And it's because of these kind of mindsets. And then when she sat up there and talked about it, it wasn't like, oh man, I was so sick and my husband, I couldn't go, whatever. Like there weren't reasons that were valid. She was talking about her individual piece. She was talking about moving as a single individual woman, choosing herself, choosing her individual happiness, choosing her perspective or whatever over that of her family, over her marriage, of her union and what they represent. And the implications of that are global. And you have Black women who are looking up to her and saying, wow, I love this. I'm going to protect my peace too. I'm going to just make sure that I don't put myself in environments. So you have Black women who are looking up to her also with that mindset, not understanding that that's the kind of behavior that could actually put a strain on the marriage. Because nothing needed to be said. The action spoke for itself. Ever since that day, media is always talking about their marriage. Anytime Obama is out there by himself now, they're always talking about the marriage. Always. Because what she did put him in a bad light, because that hasn't been done before. Wives are always there. They're always there because that's a part of politics. A part of politics is like, yeah, it is a game, but there are expectations. And you meet those expectations, you don't. Now we know Trump, he's out doing his own thing, but he's still moving in unison with his wife. You don't see his wife going out there doing podcasts about how she don't like him. She thinks he don't look right. She thinks he this and that. You don't see that. Even if she don't agree with him, even if she hates his guts, we don't really know. She's just there. She's quiet. She looks the part and she goes home. And that's the game. That's the game. This is she or my wife, how I would divorce her. Shout out for you with the 2. Appreciate it. So again, for you guys, those who are there, like, share, subscribe. Also shout out to you with the 10 on the Cash App, the 18th letter. I really appreciate it. Appreciate all you guys for the support. So, but that's what I'm saying. So right now you have Michelle Obama acting as if she's a commoner when she's a global leader, trying to appeal to the common woman. And she's not a common woman. She's a multimillionaire married to the most powerful, or at least at one point, the most powerful man in the world. Every action that she does has political implications. And she's now trying to act like it doesn't. And to me, that's irresponsible, or it's leading into another agenda to continue to create divide and dissension among Black family, particularly because they are a Black family. I'm like, at best, she's just being irresponsible. Like, At best or at worst, this is connected to a larger agenda to continue to create dissension. Because now, how many Black women are going to look up to her and say, wow, she's married to the most powerful Black man in the world, or she was. She's doing her thing. She's still da-da-da-da. So I'm going to take her example and looking at what she called revolution, which I actually think is rebellion. I think it was rebellion because what she did was not in unison with her husband. They didn't move as a unit. They're going to look at her rebellion and think that that's okay. And it's that kind of individualistic mindset that keeps women single. I'm saying single. When they enter into the marriage or enter into a relationship with a man and think, I have as much agency, I should have as much leadership capacities, I should have just as much, like they see themselves as literally equivalent in function. I'm not talking about value because I believe men and women have equal value, but I'm talking about in function. I don't believe men and women have equal function. In a relationship, we're not all the same. We don't all have all the same capacity. If a robber breaks into the household, people aren't looking at the woman to step up. God forbid somebody breaks in, there's a threat of harm. People aren't looking at the woman. They're first going to look at the man. If something goes awry, if something goes wrong in a household, in a family, and there's a man there, the first thing they're going to do is be like, where was the man? Where was the husband? Where was the father? So I'm saying that because instinctively, we know men and women don't have the same function. When they operate together in a union, they do not have the same function. But I'm saying women who want to go into relationships and act as if they have the same function as their husband, it creates chaos. Because men still, at the end of the day, a lot of them, they still value marriage. They still understand this sense of obligation and duty that comes with it. Now you have more and more who are just walking away and totally being like, I don't want nothing to do with this no more. This is too much. Or they're going abroad, or they're going to other nations where people are still more traditionally minded, or they still have retained family values. But by and large, I think men are still understand that there's a when you work together with somebody in a marriage and a family, you have to look beyond your individual self. It's about a larger goal. But if ladies continue to be programmed to only think about themselves. And even when they're looking for a partner, it's only about themselves. Well, how can he add to me? How can he make my life better? What can he do to make me better? Me. Not understanding that when you get together with somebody, it's about you both. It's about the unit. It's about, well, what can I bring? What can I bring? What can I do? It's no longer about myself. It's no longer about just myself. And also, this is something else ladies aren't going to like, but I'm going to say it. Like, you can't have two cooks in the kitchen. What's that old saying? Like, another issue is you have women going into relationships. They may have a degree, or they may have whatever, and they don't want the man to lead. They want the man to lead in certain things. They want the man to lead when it comes to money. They want the man to lead when it comes to protection. They want the man to lead when it comes to the financial burdens. But they don't want to submit to his leadership. They don't want to yield. They don't want to honor his leadership. When they don't agree with something, or when they don't like something, they're going to hold on. They're not going to be willing to yield to the man's guidance or authority or his thoughts. They don't want to submit. They just want to, like, that's not, submission is nothing that is taught to Black women, period. And that issue alone is another reason why so many remain single. Because a lot of men, they don't want to be with a woman they feel like they got to compete with. They don't want to be with somebody that feels like it's like a competition. It's the enemy. They got boxing gloves. No man wants to sign up for that. So you have women who are cultivated that it's all about them. They don't understand how to respect the leadership of the man in their life. They don't even think that's necessary. They think that's oppressive. And then they get confused as to why they don't have relationship success. They get confused as to why they have a hard time getting married. They don't understand what marriage is. And then you got the Miss First Lady up here, sitting here talking utter nonsense, making statements that have global implications, being a global leader, but now wanting to like revoke her global leader card and pretend like she's just a commoner. And it's like, I'm sorry, that ship has sailed. Be in acceptance of who you are, but why are you now promoting things that actually don't work? Like, are you just being careless? Or are you really connected to like a larger propaganda? Are you being paid to do like what is going on? Acting, yeah, you can't act single while being married. And here's the thing: ladies want to act single while they're married. And of course, I'm not gonna say not all, right? Because I know some of y'all gonna be like, "Oh, that's not me. That's not me." But like I said, there's a reason 26% of Black women today in America, at least, are married. 26%. There's a reason for that, and it goes down to perceptions we have about marriage. Submission is seen as, the submission is seen as some old patriarchal, domineering, disrespectful, oppressive idea. So they get in these marriages and they want to box with their husbands as soon as they don't agree. They don't want to yield. They want to do their own thing. They want to remain single in marriage. And that doesn't work very well. Because like I said, at the end of the day, no man wants to feel like they're married to somebody who's competitive or who's their competition. And that's what this is looking like. It looks really bad. Really bad. Okay, so now I want to bring up, to continue this point, I want to bring up another clip that I saw of her giving advice to the younger generation. Then we're going to break that down. For those of you guys who are here, like, share, subscribe. Y'all know the drill. Okay.
Find the right person. You don't know how.
Let me remove this real quick. Okay. So this is her giving some more advice to the ladies in the younger generation.
There are many ways to live a full life. And, we're raised as young women to think it's marriage, it's kids in that order.
The hell?
And that's one thing we don't have control over. You don't know if you're going to fall in love. You don't know if you're going to find the right person. You don't know how life is going to unfold.
Ain't that the truth?
And I find that I know some of my young mentees feel less than because they haven't found somebody or they haven't had a child. And it breaks my heart because these are beautiful, smart women who have amazing lives. But because one piece of the puzzle isn't there, a piece that they've been told their whole lives they should want and have, it's almost like life has no purpose. And one of the things I want my daughters, I'm trying to deprogram them from that belief that there's a certain way to be a woman in this world. Because I don't know what their future is going to hold. So I don't talk about when you become a mother or when you get married. I say, well, if you find somebody, if you choose that, if that's something you want for yourself, but understand that you can have a beautiful life without all that.
Absolutely.
You are not less of a person because somebody didn't choose you or you didn't find somebody.
Okay. So I wanted to play that. In its entirety. Now I want to replay and I want to break down a few things because there's a lot here. But again, I want to compare the way that she is acting. Let's compare the way that she is acting. Let's see. Real quick. Compare the way that she is acting to the Queen of England, right? Compare it. Now, of course, they're not identical. I'm not saying they're identical, but I'm trying to give you a sense of like, as far as a level of influence. As far as a level of influence that they have. As far as they behaved. As far as their understanding of what it means to be a global leader, or what it means to be a leader of your nation, and how you act, how you present yourself, the things that you say, the things that you don't say, the things that you even teach among your children, right? I mean, there was all that drama between Harry and Meghan because he basically bucked the system. He did his own thing. He completed his own thing. But the family already knew, okay, we're born into this family. There's certain expectations that go along with it. There's certain understanding. So again, I want you guys again to line up what she has said and is saying up to the Queen of England. Their sense of duty, sense of protocol, sense of, honor and respect to the call of who you are, to the queendom, to being the leader. And how that means you don't act like a commoner, and how that means that there are actually certain privileges that you do give up when you are a leader. There are certain privileges that you no longer have. Now, there are plenty of benefits you get, right? There are plenty of opportunities and things that you have as well that your average person isn't going to have access to, but it comes at a cost. So again, I'm putting that out there because the context here is Michelle Obama isn't now just some random civilian walking around here that you're going to see at the Dollar Tree. You know what I mean? She's going to be chilling at Walmart neighborhood market or going to Food Max, talking to people at the fish fry. Like, no. She's not the Black woman that's hanging out at the fish fry. Okay. Like, just randomly. You're going to see her at the cookout. Like, no. This is a global leader. A global leader. And we're acting like this is just another sister girl with some braids. It's like, no, everything she does has implications. What are we talking about? What is going on? Nobody would expect the Queen of England to go up in there on a podcast in some Pilates pants, okay, in some sweats, talk about how emotionally draining it is to be a queen, how difficult it was to be married to her husband, and how she didn't like her husband for 10 years, how it was hard raising those kids, and she's trying to teach her kids that they don't need to be loyal, they don't need to respect the crown anymore, they don't need to respect their lineage. Nobody would expect that. That would be weird. That'd be weird. But I'm saying this also shows me, I mean, this is also, I think, the understanding slightly of classism. While they are obviously in the elite class, it doesn't sound like she grew up with it. Because I'm like, people who were born into wealth and have been into wealth for quite some time, like, they arrange marriage. Even this whole idea, like, oh, I don't understand what their future holds. It's like, what are you talking about? You're elite. Like, people arrange marriage. What are you talking about? People do political marriages all the time. Like, you're acting like your daughters are just some random. No, like, rich people get together and arrange marriage and have marriage contracts for businesses. That's been going on for like centuries. So again, this is where I'm just like, okay, at best, she's just being really irresponsible, or at worst, they're like obviously promoting a propaganda and she's completely aware of that. She's promoting this foolishness. But the ramifications of it is it continues to promote this dumb propaganda that's been going on for decades now for Black women. Like, this isn't like revolutionary. Black women have been saying no for the last how many decades now? They've been saying no to marriage for quite some time. Black women have been saying no to Black men for quite some time. So this is what we need to be really clear too, because there's I'm saying no. Who are you saying no to? Black women have no problem saying no to Black men. That's not an issue. When has it been an issue for Black women to say no to Black men? Can y'all tell me? Can y'all tell me in the comment section? That's not what she's talking about. If what you're saying is you're saying no to the system, if that's the larger implication, you're saying no to the system while your husband was a leader in the system and still supports the system, that is rebellion. That's confusion in and of itself. But secondly, you're really not if you're sitting up there promoting the same propaganda the system has been producing for the last few decades. So it's like, what are you even really saying no to? Like, no to? Because all her moves are political. Everything she does has political implications. Even if she doesn't want it to, and even folks want to sit here and act like she's just a random woman. She's not. She's an elite. She's an elite. Wife of a global leader herself, and there are implications. Okay, so I want to go back and run back that video one more time. And I wanted to break down a few things. Okay. Shout out to you with the 199. It says, Michelle, hey, she's aging up. Yeah, well, I ain't got nothing to say. I ain't got nothing to say about that. Appreciate the super chat. It's interesting because in Hollywood, like they got access to all kinds of fillers and Botox and skin dog. I mean, in that space, I mean, you pay to look good forever. So I'm not gonna try to figure that one out. Yeah, I think I already read that one. She's acting single while married. Thank you guys for the support. Let me continue now. I'm going to replay this video where she's now giving advice to the younger generation. Okay.
There are many ways to live a full life.
And, you know, we're raised as young women to think it's marriage, it's kids in that order.
Okay, can y'all tell me? Well, actually, no, Lo. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to play this for those of you guys who are joining on. I'm going to play this again one more time, and then I'm just going to go down to breaking it down. That's what I'm going to do, because this is, I think, only about a minute. But I want you guys to have the full context in mind, and then I'll break it down.
There are many ways to live a full life. And, you know, we're raised as young women to think it's marriage, it's kids in that order. And that's one thing we don't have control over. You know, you don't know if you're going to fall in love. You don't know if you're going to find the right person. You don't know how life is going to unfold.
Ain't that the truth?
And I find that I know some of my young mentees feel less than because they haven't found somebody or they haven't had a child. And it breaks my heart because these are beautiful, smart women who have amazing lives. But because one piece of the puzzle isn't there, a piece that they've been told their whole lives they should want and have, it's almost like life has no purpose. And one of the things I want my daughters, I'm trying to deprogram them from that belief that there's a certain way to be a woman in this world. Because I don't know what their future is going to hold. So I don't talk about when you become a mother or when you get married. I say, well, if you find somebody, if you choose that, if that's something you want for yourself, but understand that you can have a beautiful life without all that.
Absolutely.
You know, you are not less of a person because somebody didn't choose you or you didn't find somebody. There are many.
Okay, I wanted to play that in its entirety. Now, there's quite a bit to unpack in that, minute and 36-second clip. But before I do so, y'all, please get those likes up. It looks like we have, at least on YouTube, it looks like I got 160 of y'all live, and I only have 111 likes. So y'all, get those likes up, y'all. Get those likes up real quick. Let's go on a quick break as you guys get those likes up, and then I'm going to break down because there's a lot. And that a minute and 36 seconds, there is a lot to unpack there. So get those likes up, fam. Okay, so where are we at now? I see 124. I got 155 watching. Get those likes up, fam. All right, guys. All right. So what's going on, Dr. Steele? Good to see you in the building. It's always good to have you here. Likes are free. Yes, likes are free. Shout out to all you members. And shout out to you with the $9.99. Keep Jesus first. Share your husband and is proud. Thank you so much. I agree. I absolutely agree. That's also why I had a little bit of smoke. If you guys didn't catch my live over the weekend, check it out where I break down in detail some of the comments that she said with respect to the inauguration. And my gripe primarily is it's like, y'all are people who claim to be Christian. And none of the things that I hear about any excuses, none of it sounded biblical. Like, it'd be one thing if you don't ascribe to that and you have your own. It's like, okay, whatever. You're doing your own thing. I may not agree, but that's fine. But don't sit up here and now say this, but then model things that actually completely go against some of the tenets of Christianity. So that's a whole other thing. But check out the live check that out if you haven't already. Now let's go back into this. Let's go back into this video, this little minute and 36-second clip, and we can unpack it, because there's just a lot of propaganda here, in my opinion, if I'm just being honest. Okay.
There are many ways to live a full life. And, we're raised as young women to think it's marriage, it's kids, in that order.
Okay. Can y'all tell me, so what are the other ways to have a full life? I wonder if she's going to get into that. What are the other ways? Are we saying, okay, getting a career? Is it traveling? Okay. Is it having a degree? Like, what are the other ways to have a full life outside of the natural human desire to want to have a family? What are the other ways? If you guys let me know down in the comment section. What are the other ways? Because here's the thing about it. We have to remember that she, not too long ago, had a conversation with Tracee Ellis Ross, who sat up there and talked about having some grief. Y'all remember that? If you don't, I can bring that up real quick. Tracee Ellis Ross, who has spent her life being a modern woman and having her own accolades, right? She grew up in an elite circle. She grew up around success, her mother being, right, like very successful, obviously. So she grew up in that elite circle and continued being successful. And she's now in her 50s saying, okay, I did that stuff, but I still have grief. So can you help me understand, based upon what you just said, can you help me understand, like, what is that satisfying, fulfilling, full life that exists when you don't have those human needs met? I'm wondering if she's going to get to that. Okay. So let me actually real quick, because this is somewhat of a side note, but this is all very relevant, because she's saying this, Michelle Obama is saying this while she literally had a special guest not too long ago, Tracee Ellis Ross, who talked about the grief that she had of not having a partner and kids. Not having it. And again, we've never seen, Tracee Ellis Ross is very much a modern woman in all of its capacity. But I want to play this real quick, because again, this is the context. They're like around the same, they're like in the same circle, around the same age. And so Michelle Obama married to one of the most powerful men in the world with children, saying, oh, well, as a multimillionaire, by the way, all the status, all the money you could ever have, literally talking about, oh, well, you don't need to have that to be happy. One of her peers has status, money, doesn't have the family and kids, and is talking about grief. I just wanted to keep this in the back of your mind. I'm gonna play this real quick as a quick side note, and then I'll go back to what she said.
Grief does surface for me around not having children and not having a partner. I still wouldn't want the wrong partner.
That's a great point for people to hear.
I'm not interested in that. You have to make my life better. It can't just be, I'm in a relationship to be in a relationship. So even though the grief does emerge and that comes and I hold that, I think of what I've done, and I woke up every morning trying to do my best. I didn't wake up one morning and be like, I'm going to mess this day up.
That's right.
So I must be where I'm supposed to be. And I don't know, sometimes I think of all of the things I've done, the courage that I've had to have, and what I've had to learn how to navigate as a single person with no one to hide behind.
Yeah.
And it's built a really beautiful experience around me, and I have incredible friends. And as much as grief does surface for me around not having children and not having a partner, I still.
Okay, so I just wanted to play that real quick. She was very honest. She was like, look, grief happens, but also I don't want to set off the wrong one, but grief happens. I mean, now the alternative is going to say, oh, it's better to be single and have grief than it is to have been in a relationship and had marriage and have family and it break up. And listen, every individual person is different. I'm not going to sit here and try to convince someone either way. But what I will say is, I think it's actually very dangerous to try to push women or try to convince them out of heterosexuality, out of a natural design. And what I think we're going to see in this 1minute and 36-second clip is a whole lot of narrative on trying to convince women not to be what they actually are and to not desire what is actually they've been doing since like the majority of human history. Because I saw this one right here, like different people have a different definition of full life. And I agree. I do believe that there are some people out there, genuinely believe there are people out there, some who are like really okay by themselves, like really, really fulfilled and satisfied. I truly believe that. I believe that they are the minority. That certainly isn't over 75% of Black women. Certainly not over 75% of Black American women are meant to be single by themselves, living full, satisfied lives. No, that is not that. That is pointing to a deeper problem that is yet to be addressed. And so the thing about Tracee Ellis Ross, you see her, she acknowledges the grief and she calls her grief, but then she's still like, but this must have been the universe's will for me because I couldn't settle for anything less than. And I'm like, well, it could be that, but why is there also not a conversation of, was it really settling, or were there perhaps ideas about relationship that didn't really serve you, that haven't served women for quite some time? It's quite frankly, it served them so poorly that more and more women are having a hard time finding anything that makes them satisfied. But anyways, let's continue. That was a bit of a side note, but I wanted to bring that up because I thought it was interesting. She's talking about how you can still have a fulfilling life. And here Michelle Obama says that, and here she has a peer coming on her podcast who's been a very successful woman, has all the accolades, all the career that you could have, and likely a lot of bodies, and says that she actually experiences grief for not having a family. But then she focuses on the things that she's been able to done and the friends that she's established in the meantime. But I'm like, I thought that was very interesting. Very, very interesting. Okay, let's continue.
And that's one thing we don't have control over. You don't know if you're going to fall in. There are many ways to live a full life. And, we're raised as young women to think it's marriage, it's kids in that order. And that's one thing we don't have control over. You don't know if you're going to fall in love. You don't know if you're going to find the right person. You don't know how life is going to unfold.
Ain't that the truth?
And I find that I know some of my young men, it's marriage, it's kids in that order. And that's one thing we don't have control over.
Okay. And here's where I don't. So you don't. Sorry. Y'all caught that? You don't have control over when you decide to lay down and have a baby. Women don't have control over that. Women don't have control on whether or not they're going to have a child within the context of a marriage versus not. They're just babies are just forced on them. That's why I'm like, some of this stuff has to be scripted because it's like, this is not even logical. Okay, let me continue. I don't know. I thought that listening to that, I'm just like, huh? Like who? What? What? Since when did women not have the ability to decide who they're going to have a baby with? Since when did women lose the ability to decide when they're going to lay down and Like what? Okay, let me just continue. Let me continue.
You know, you don't know if you're going to fall in love. You don't know if you're going to find the right person.
Okay, people in her elite circle don't marry for love all the time. They don't marry for love. We're talking about a global leader. Their ideas and perception around marriage are a lot different than the random person in, lower class, lower middle class who's just trying to get by and just wants to have somebody to share life with and share bills with and just have. When you're a global leader, you marry for different reasons. So also I'm just like, why are you talking like you're like just an average person? That's not how people in your class even work. Marriage itself can be very political. It is oftentimes very political. Not to say that there aren't politicians who genuinely love each other. They don't move on that level. Elites. Arranged marriage happens still to this day. So I'm like, huh? Like that's not that what? Okay, let's continue.
You don't know how life is going to unfold.
Ain't that the truth?
And I find that I know some of my young mentees feel less than because they haven't found somebody or they haven't had a child. And it breaks my heart because these are beautiful, smart women who have amazing lives. But because one piece of the puzzle isn't there, a piece that they've been told their whole lives they should want and have.
Yeah, this is the stuff where I figured this is the BS. This is, to me, this is where I'm like, okay, now this is the propaganda. We're acting like women went to school where they read books every single day that says you have to have a marriage and children. You have to have marriage and children. You have to have marriage. Like we're acting like women went in these like concentration camps and were programmed to just want a family and a man. Oh my gosh, they programmed them. It's like, no, this is literally called heterosexuality. What are y'all talking about? This is what people want to do. People have been having family and kids since the beginning of human history. That's how we still exist. So why are we now like, they add these words as programming as if there was like this deep, dark conspiracy and Big Brother went in and tried to tell all the women that they needed to have kids and they needed to have a marriage or else they're weird. And I was just like, no, that's just what it calls. That's again, that's biology. Biology is kicking in. Biology has kicked in. So that's where it gets weird to me. I can understand saying, listen, you continue to live your life. If you want to have a career or have skill or have trade that you develop, man and woman, I don't see anything wrong with that. But we don't now have to go and try to convince women to not like or desire what they have been desiring since for like beginning of time. We don't have to try to convince ourselves that, oh no, we just held on to some old patriarchal ideas. And if we unprogram these unpatriarchal ideas, now we're not going to want to have a family and kids anymore. No, that's stupid. That is stupid. You can actually have a trade and have a career and still develop a relationship and still develop family. And that's a whole other issue I don't like. That's another thing, because how many times have I heard a woman talk about, oh, I'm just focusing on my career, I'm just focusing on myself, as if you can't multitask, as if women can't raise families and still have jobs or side jobs or careers or have their own trade. Women have done both like forever, literally have always done both. Maybe in different capacities. Maybe they weren't in corporate, maybe they weren't in the desk, maybe they were basket weaving or working on the farm or sewing or whatever, but women have always had, across different societies, they've had their own trade and they've had families. So it's like, yeah, no, women can do both. So why are we now acting like as if there has to be, you have to choose. You have to try to convince yourself to create a life outside of what's actually quite natural and biological. That's where I think it's stupid. And no, we don't, like, women weren't like programmed from day one to think that, oh, they only need a family, only need babies. They didn't go to concentration camps where they put brain chips in them that told them that they only need a man and a child. And it's like, no, a lot of that is just natural stuff. And can we just be natural? Can we just be normal, please? Like, and that's what's so weird to me. It's like, you're married. You are married with kids. Why don't you sit here? You got 26% of Black women don't know how to marry. Why don't you sit up there and teach them how to have a successful marriage? Because y'all know that having kids born in marriages where the daddy and the mom is there, that is the best chance that child has of succeeding. That's the best chance that Black family has of succeeding. So why are you sitting up there and pushing BS? Why don't you sit up there and teach these ladies how to be wives? That would be more. Why don't you tell your mentees, you know what? I see you still have a beautiful life, but I also see that you want a relationship. Let me help you. Don't sit there and try to convince them to be happy. And then now 3-4 decades later, they got to go on a podcast and talk about how they're grieving because they never found love. Why don't you teach them how to find love? That's the stuff that's so annoying to me. It's like they're recycling the same stupid talking points. It's dumb. It's dumb. Oh, it's so annoying. Sitting up there married to the most powerful man talking about, oh, well, you don't have to be married and have kids to be happy. All these elite women out there, like some of y'all said Beyonce, but they're talking about this. Ciara doing this. She was talking the same thing in her music up there married with what now her husband wants 5 kids. Kylie Rowland, she's up there married. Y'all notice how a lot of these elite women are married? A lot of them are married. But we'll try to sit here and convince you that you don't need marriage or family to be happy. And it's like, first of all, you're a multimillionaire. You don't understand. You're in a whole different class. Plus, you're married with kids. How about you be married without kids and then sit up here and say that? At least he had Tracy Ellis Ross, who was somewhat honest, which is like, actually, I grieve this. I still try to find happiness some other ways, but I grieve the fact that I don't have this. And now I got to be with dudes half my age just to relate with men. So I'm like, can y'all be honest? Let's continue. I'm almost done here. Again, guys, if you like what's going on here, like, share, subscribe. Also, show some support on the Cash App, Venmo. Y'all know the drill. I'm almost done. Wait, where'd you go? Sorry, I lost it. Where'd you go? Okay.
It's almost like life has no purpose. Mm-hmm. And one of the things I want my daughters, I'm trying to deprogram them from that belief that there's a certain way to be a woman in this world.
Like, what is this Okay, feminism haven't gone on for the last like 4 or 5, 5, 6 decades. How long? A few decades, at least 4 or 5, arguably. Like heavy. So what is this programming? We're acting like we grew up in some like freaking Amish culture where women had to churn butter from scratch and milk the cow, and they had to dress from head to toe, and they had to get married by they were 16, and had to be pregnant by the time they were 17, and like we're acting like we live in some super traditional culture where women were given cookbooks when they were 10, and the only thing they did was cook and clean and try to have babies. Like, we live in a hyper-feminist, post-feminist society. So what is this idea of women having to be deprogrammed to put themselves first? They've been putting themselves first for the last few decades. Like, I'm like, this doesn't make sense. Like, they're like the logic. Like, where is the logic? I don't see logic. This doesn't make sense at all. Like, why? And to me, again, why not actually teach them how to be wives, or teach them how to actually have a relationship? Give them those skills. And then listen, if they actually choose not to do it, that's fine too. That's fine. But it's better off giving them the tools, the mindset, the understanding, empowering them with that, and then telling them to go. Versus being like, oh, you sitting up there married to the richest man, one of the most powerful men in the world, with kids, telling other women who, quite frankly, can't afford to even do life by themselves that they can still be happy by themselves. I'm like, why don't you use your position to actually teach women how to actually have families? That's what you're supposed to do. I mean, from a Christian standpoint, it literally says the older women are supposed to come alongside the younger women and teach them how to have families, how to raise kids, how to build households. That's what scripture says. I'm like, I thought she was Christian. So this is to me, it definitely seems like an agenda to me. I'm like, why are you sitting up here promoting an agenda that, quite frankly, a lot of ladies can't afford? Because you sit up there and talk about how, oh, you can have a full life without a man in a career. Okay, what full life are you having making $44,000 annually in America right now with rent and gas the way it is. What full life are you having? Like what is this powerful, liberating existence you have when you are having a hard time affording bills? So even this whole conversation, this idea is only going to apply to a particular elite, a very small percentage of Black women who are able to actually maintain themselves and have a comfortable lifestyle by themselves. Fewer and few women can even do that. So to me, it's so weird to me. Ugh. Okay, let me continue. Let me just kind of finish this.
Because I don't know what their future is going to hold. So I don't talk about when you become a mother.
As if the people in her class don't arrange marriages. Like, what are you talking? This is what I'm saying. Like, she's acting like she's just some other, like, random, like, I don't know what's going to happen. Like, she's just some random housewife sitting up in the suburbs somewhere with no power, no connections, no money, no political leverage. I'm like, y'all arrange stuff. What is going on here? Why are you talking like that's not what y'all do?
Or when you get married, I say, well, if you find somebody, if you choose that, if that's something you want for yourself, but understand that you can have a beautiful life without all that.
Absolutely.
You are not less of a person because somebody didn't choose you or you didn't find somebody. There are many ways.
And this is where I think there's some pandering too, because you want to stay in good graces with Black women for whatever reason. I don't know if there's a larger political agenda. I don't know if she's going to try to run for office or something. I don't know. But you want to stay in the good graces of Black women who, by and large, 26% of them, I think, or just 1 in 4, give or take, aren't married. They're not married. They don't have the kind of reality that she has. So of course you don't want to piss them off. You're going to sit there and lie to them and be like, oh, you don't need to worry about that. You can still have a really happy, fulfilling life without it. I'm like, well, what fulfilling life are a Black woman having, making $44,000, struggling to pay rent, struggling to purchase eggs and milk by themselves? What fulfilling life are they having when you have more of them going into the van life and they're just trying to survive? What fulfilling life? What? Because y'all know how materialistic or how impacted by materialism women can be. We all know this. So what fulfilling life are these ladies having, living in their van, can't change oil, the car broke down, don't know how to change oil, don't have money to get oil, they're depending upon people going by them and giving them money. And then again, I'm not saying this is every Black woman, but I'm telling you, like 44,000, that's like the average, right? Like Black women aren't making enough money to be able to live this lifestyle comfortably in the way that's being promoted. So this whole, oh, you can live by yourself, be happy. Maybe this would have happened maybe like 40, 50 years ago, or 30 years ago, even maybe. There would have been enough women who could do this and create a comfortable enough life to where they had the option and be like, they're cool. But now you have ladies who aren't even able to afford life by themselves. It's not a life of freedom or a life of comfort. It's a life of struggle. So you have that struggle on top of the fact that they still may actually want family and still may want a husband or kids, but just strictly don't know how to do so because they weren't taught. Because the last 4 or 5 decades, they've been told this stupid feminist BS. And that's why I'm bringing on this lady. So side note, the live I did last week where I reviewed the ex-feminist who went online and actually was honest about the fact that feminism ruined aspects of her life. 60-plus-year-old woman who was just like, I grew up when it was at its pinnacle and it was really taking off and it was being promoted and I lived all of these different things and I regret it. I regret it. You're right. She said that. So I'm just saying, it's like you've had decades and decades of this same programming going on, and very few people I think are actually standing up and being honest about it. What she's doing is just promoting the same thing that's been going on for the last 40, 50 years. The same thing. And very few people do I see actually stand up and say, you know what? It's actually not all it's cracked up to be. Yeah, I have a job. Yeah, I have a nice place. Yeah, I'm stable. I have retirement, whatever. But I'm lonely. I wish I had children. Or I wish I at least had the option. Or at least I would have tried. I would have rather tried than not tried. I would have rather, you know what I mean? But it takes a huge level of honesty to do that. And I understand some people just aren't able to be that honest, and then others actually are promoting propaganda. And it just, to me, this whole message, strictly from a financial standpoint, is not feasible for Black women. And then I think, secondly, it is anti-God, it's anti-family, it's anti-like biology, because most women just desire to have a family. I'm not saying every. I understand that there's some who are really happy by themselves, but not like over 75%. I'm sorry. I don't believe that 75% of Black American women out there who are happily single by choice, don't want a man, are cool doing about they're chilling, they're living their best life. They're living free, although they don't have the traditional. No, I think many find themselves in that situation because they don't have older women who taught them anything differently. And that's a shame. And I'm like, here, this woman has the opportunity. She has the opportunity to really share messages or share things that would be empowering, or at very least would empower a woman with choice. If you want to sit there and say, listen, you don't necessarily need to have children in marriage. Okay, fine. At least empower them with choice. Teach them what it means to be married. Teach them how do you do that successfully? What are the ideas? What are the values? What does that look like? Impart that. Don't impart this individualistic toxic feminist mindset that's been going on for decades that are actually keeping a lot of ladies single and confused in their relationship life. But it's a shame that this is what's going on to me. To me, it's very, very, very disheartening. This makes me worry about Malaise and Sasha's mindsets now. I mean, like I said, they run in a whole different circle. I can't even say I understand. And to me, it really comes down to two things. Like, at best, she's just being irresponsible or short-sighted. At worst, this is a larger propaganda to just continue the okie doke and to continue to promote the disintegration of families and the breakdown of the Black American family so that there are less humans, because we do understand that there is a larger agenda to minimize the human population. And she is fitting into that. She's fitting into that. And like, to me, it's one of two things. But I think it's disgraceful, honestly. I really do. I think it's disgraceful to sit up there and promote these messages, in my opinion, that have been going off the last few decades that are leaving more and more women actually unfulfilled, while you are living the kind of dream that many women wish they could have, trying to convince them that they can have just as much success outside of that. It's like, you could actually just teach them or empower them with the tools to have families, with the tools to have a marriage. And then once they're empowered, if they choose not to have it, that's fine. That's a whole other thing. But a lot of ladies just aren't even empowered. They don't even know how to go about doing that. But instead of owning it, or instead of just, facing the fact that they really are prepared, they sit up here and lie. And sit up here and just try to protect ego. And it keeps the same toxicity going on. To me, it's disgrace. Right. Men aren't the ones going on TikTok. I don't see men going on TikTok like, oh man, I wish, man, why aren't these ladies, these ladies don't seem interested in me. Like I approach them and they're going on and crying and having lives, and then having guys in the comment section like, yeah, it's so difficult out here. I don't know what's going on. I don't see men. Ladies do that. I'm always seeing ladies go online talking about, these dudes don't approach us no more. They must be gay, or they're so uninterested, or ladies like attention. Because if you talk about, oh, you're just done dating, you're not interested anymore because these guys are just so hard. That's all about attention. Because if you really were that, then you wouldn't go online and post it in public platforms, hashtag viral, hashtag, like, you wouldn't do that. You would actually just disengage from society. So we know a lot of that stuff was capped. Okay, so anyways, that's really what I have, y'all. A lot to unpack. And for those of you guys who are here, you can go and check out many of the other things that we went over. We went over one of the videos that I posted over the weekend, where she just gave her old recap of the inauguration. Then we went over the reaction that I've seen from Black men versus Black women, the distinctive reaction that I'm seeing, and how we're showing how there's a different mindset around marriage, around family, from Black men and from Black women. And then I went down to talk about what Michelle Obama does is important. And as a quick recap, every single decision Michelle Obama does has implications and will have implications because she is a global leader, married to one of the powerful, if not the most powerful man of the world in this time. Everything she does has implications. She is a global leader. So her going on these podcasts and promoting these messages have implications nationally and internationally. Her showing the world with her actions that she was not in agreement with her husband had implications. Her showing that she was moving individually, that they were not in agreement with the inauguration, again, had implications, not just about their family, but about the message they are sending out about how to treat marriage, about how Black women treat their men in marriage, because best believe they are representing the Black American family. Even if you don't like them, even if you don't rock with them like that, people are looking at them as a snapshot, particularly cultures who don't really rock with Black folks like that. So they are a representation of what's going on in Black America. So a Black woman with this position of power, with this amount of status and money, telling the world, I don't support my husband. I am not willing to, work together with my husband in this, again, has implications. And listen, I understand many Black folks don't rock with the current presidency. Black people, by and large, have always been, those who voted at least, have always been more Democratic leaning. So I understand that. And we understand Trump didn't show up to the inauguration. We get it. But we're talking about it's not the same, because Trump is doing his own thing, but he's still moving, at least in the public eye, in unison with his wife. They seem to be moving as a unit. Her, Barack Obama, was looking at them like, why are y'all, what's going on here? That's why their marriage is always in question. And that's what I'm saying. Everything she does has global implications. She is teaching women, hey, even if you're married, still choose yourself. Even if you're married, put your individual happiness above the duty, above the responsibilities of the marriage, above your family, above the union. Do that. Protect your peace. And that mindset doesn't work. This is exactly why so many Black women, I believe, are unmarried, because that mindset of do you boo mindset in a union where it's two becoming one, where it's two working together, the do you boo at all costs, choose yourself above all costs mindset means you can't get in a marriage, means you can't be in a family, because the nature of doing that requires you to sacrifice. Everyone's sacrificing on some level. We sat in the podcast, she talked about how Black women, they have to sacrifice and they have to suppress themselves emotionally, all that different stuff. And I understand that happens. That is true. There is truth to that. But we're not sitting here and asking ourselves what the Black man has to sacrifice too. Black women are not the only ones sacrificing in these relationships. She wasn't the only one who sacrificed. Her husband sacrificed stuff too. So it's not all one-sided, but I'm saying when we present it like that and then we move only one-sided, that completely undermines and undercuts the strength of a family. And that was the issue, I believe, the primary issue that I saw with not only this particular clip, but a lot of the different narrative I see coming. It is destructive, it is anti-family, it's anti-God, and it's the kind of stuff that keeps women single and completely confused as to why. Because no man wants to feel like they are in competition with the woman that they are with. They want to be with the woman that they know can work with them, that they can cooperate together, that there's going to be a level of sacrifice on both ends. But if they feel like this woman is putting herself first at all needs, and they're not respecting the man's leadership, they're not willing to yield to it, they're not willing to support it or honor it, even if he's the most powerful man in the world, a lot of men are saying, I don't know about that. And I get it. Not every man is worth following. Some men need to get their life. I understand it. But we're not talking about men who are that. Like Barack Obama, one of the most powerful men in the world. We not agree with him politically, fine. But no one can say he doesn't have accomplishment. He hasn't accomplished a lot. You can't sit here and say, oh, he's dusty, didn't have a vision. He knew to my understanding, since they met, he had a vision of where he wanted to go. So that's what I'm saying. It's like the implications are a lot. And this single mindset in marriage doesn't work. The do you boo at all costs doesn't work. The protecting my peace, protecting my this, and not being willing to understand or yield to or take into consideration the leadership of a man in your life is what completely undermines a family. And quite frankly, that's rebellion. That is rebellion. Any woman who ascribes to Christianity, because I meet them all the time. I meet back them all the time and say, oh, I go to church, I believe in God, I'm a Christian. Anyone who ascribes to that also has to know that not only does it undermine the family, that actually goes against what God says. Because the Bible is very clear about the order of a family, and particularly in a marriage. The man submits to God as unto Christ, right? Or the man submits to Christ. She submits to that. And the woman submits to her husband as unto God. It's God, man, woman. That's the flow. That is the flow. So that is to say that there are times when God will tell a man something he does not tell a woman. He will give man instructions. He will give a man vision. He will give man insight that he does not tell the woman. That the woman doesn't have insight over. That is the order. So there are literally times when God is telling the woman, follow your husband. Follow him. You're praying to me about something. I've given him the answer. Like, that's very clear. So I'm saying not only does this idea of I'm going to do me, boo, I'm going to do you, boo mindset, not only does it undermine like the family as far as it undermines the man's leadership or vision, particularly to those women who claim to be women of God and want a man of God, that mindset doesn't work. It's anti-biblical. You can't do you, boo in a marriage. You can't want to be your own leader in a marriage. You have to respect the leadership of your husband, even if you don't always agree with him. That's what God says. So that's what it is. And like I said, we see the implications of this do you boo mindset has ladies being like, where are all the men at? Well, where y'all at? Where y'all go? And the protecting your peace is like, you're protecting your peace so much you can't meet nobody. You're so protected in your peace that nobody can get in. And unfortunately, the economy is getting to the point to where you won't have the luxury to do that much longer without feeling the pinch. Anyways, y'all, that's what I have. This one a little longer than I wanted to, but it's good. Hopefully I'll get some clips from it. For those of you guys who are here, like, share, subscribe. On the way out, share this with somebody that you think may find this insightful, if anything. And yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comment section. Let me know what you guys think about this whole thing. We covered off a lot. You can go back and check some of the videos and everything. So anyways, thank you guys for hanging out with me, and we will talk later, okay? Bye. Bye, bye, bye.
It's a nightfall, let the whole world see. Black kings rising high in our own destiny. Moving through the storm, proud and bold we stand. Shining like gold, love's in command.
Miss Andre tried to put him down with a Miss Andre vibe, but Jermaine flipped the script, now watch him thrive. In a classroom of doubters, his spirit never fell. Every harsh word turned to beats that made him rebel. They came the neighborhood up, dropping wisdom like a rhyme. Challenged that old Miss Andre said, not on my time. With his wife Mia Swahili for strength and grace by his side. They set the record straight with humor and pride. In the dating game and gender wars where opinions clash and play, Jermaine and his crew keep it smooth, dancing hate away from awkward first dates to the battle of the hearts. They flip the script with funky vibes and soulful art. Talk, let them squabble, we're too fly to be confined. Every snide remark just fuels the fire of our mind. With laughter as our armor and pride, our battle cry. Black men rise above it all, reaching up into the sky.
Fall, let the whole world see. Black kings rising high in our own destiny. Moving through the storm, proud and bold we stand. Shining like gold, love's in command.
Miss Andre tried to to put him down with her misandry vibe. But Jermaine flipped the script, now watch him drive. In a classroom of doubts, his spirit never fell. Every harsh word turned to beats that made him rebel. Then came the neighborhood bump, dropping wisdom like a rhyme. Challenged that old misandry, said not on my time. With his wife Mia Swahili for strength and grace by his side, they set the record straight with humor and name game and gender wars where opinions clash and play. Jermaine and his crew keep it smooth, dancing hate away from awkward first dates to the battle of the hearts. They flip the script with funky vibes and soulful art talk. Let them squabble, we're too fly to be confined. Every style remark just fuels the fire of our mind. With laughter as our armor and pride, our battle cry. Black men rise above it all, reaching up to the sky.
Fall, let the whole world see. Black kings rising high in our own destiny. Moving through the storm, proud of gold we stand. Shining like gold, love's in command.
Let them talk, let them squabble, we're too fly to be confined. Every snide remark just fuels the fire of our mind. With laughter as our armor and pride, our battle cry. Black men rise above it all, reaching up to the sky.
Rain fall, let the whole world see.